Welcome to the Trevor Tysman Show. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about all athletes, not just the fast ones. All athletes need to be doing speed and agility training. It is essential because every athlete needs to be trying to get a little bit better in their own body, don't you think?
Absolutely. Every athlete needs to look at themselves and say, how can I get better? How can I get faster? I may not be as fastest guy on my team, but I'm probably not doing the same job either.
I tell you, when we're working with football players and you get to the line, oftentimes these younger linemen, you get them on a ladder doing 1, 2, 3 reaction pro or something, all of a sudden you're looking at them, everybody's, taking it down a notch. I'm not the fast guy. I don't need this. They don't really give it their all. And that's kind of where we're talking here. That guy's got to be focused on being the best that he can be because you never really know. Maybe he hits a growth spurt and he's the center on the basketball team in high school. You know what I mean?
Well, those things are going to happen. And also that we need you. We need you as that lineman.
Right.
We need you to make that block. We got to create that hole. You got to be able to do that, and you're going to be successful when you can move quicker than that person across from you.
Have you ever found any ways that help motivate? Is it just perspective? Or are you just teaching these guys like, hey, think outside the box. You need the speed. Or do you find any types of things that have helped slower athletes realize that they can actually get faster, even though they may not be the fastest on the team?
Well, one of the things that I like to do is make sure that they understand how important your job is. That if you are a lineman, that we can't run a play without it. We have to have you. And when you perform well, the team performs well, and we all win.
Well, there's creativity in our drills too, right? I mean, we made a video earlier this week. We'll give you a link for that. But earlier this week, we're talking all about relays and things like that. If you can be witty as a coach and actually use some methods that create that intensity, you're going to make those kids faster in anyway, right? Running relays for the linemen. Don't just sit them out there and say, hey, run down the ladder. Let's do the icky shuffle next to all these fast guys that are flying by you, right? Find ways to divvy them up. Do relays. Get them with some fast guys. Mix them up a little bit. Those linemen will progress as well.
One of the things I love is obstacle course type, so that we're going through the cones, we're going over the bags, we're changing direction. Those are all key elements, and I want to talk to them about it.
Did you ever find that putting guys head-to-head with other linemen was more effective than putting them together with other players? So say, if you're in this obstacle course format, you've got your center, your running back, a corner, and another lineman in your lines. Did you find that it was more effective to put straight-up linemen all the way across in group one? Or, you know what I mean? So then when you're doing your obstacle course, you're against light competition, or did you always just mix it up with a mixed bag?
Well, it's the same thing as when we would do our practice. You're generally having the linemen work together, the backs work together. So I like to put them in their groups so that they feel comfortable and that they're encouraging each other. And then I'll
team obstacle or something at the end.
Right.
I got
something you. You're going to bring it back together. But for the most part, I want you to get a good feel of what your teammates are doing.
Yeah, it's not all roses out there. I mean, you can't just hide from it. There's some other guys that are a little faster than you, but if you don't understand that you could move quicker, you got to broaden the horizons and realize, you could be a little bit better at your own position, right?
Yeah, I'm going to challenge you. This is not necessarily a team challenge, or we're not out to see who's the fastest guy. We probably already know that, but I want you to get faster. I want you to understand why, so that you feel it, so that you know it.
One of the biggest things that I think is great for youth athletes normally doesn't start coming up until high school. Oftentimes, you're doing 40-yard dashes, pro agility, some of these combine-style test outs, but you really don't get introduced to that until you get into high school when guys are trying to transition into college, and then it's more so in the collegiate world because guys are trying to get to the NFL. But using these types of methods on testing in the youth athletics is huge for showing individual gains. You know what I mean? If you're a lineman and you don't have any idea what your 40 is and you're 13 years old, that's probably a problem.
You should set a goal for that.
Right.
Here's where you started, buddy. Look at this. I mean, those guys might make bigger gains. Sooner or later, those gains are going to really compact in your running backs or your speed people, but let them know, hey, look at what we did in the last 30 days.
Yeah, young dads, young coaches, you should be structuring test outs for these kids, even at the youngest age, because you want to motivate self-growth. Every one of these athletes need to get faster, and the only way to really know that is not just by looking at the fastest guy and thinking, I'm not that fast. You should be looking at it like, no. You run a 5.3 40. We got to get that down. We need to get in the 4s. That's our goal this year. We're getting in the 4s, and hopefully we can keep progressing into some upper level speed as you get through your, growth spurts and all those types of things.
Hopefully, along the way, the coaches are talking to them and helping them understand that. They may have been through, my athlete's not fast, so why would I do that?
Right.
And they have to learn, and hopefully the parents learn, let's be successful. Let's teach them what they need to know.
Now, do you suggest doing test outs and things in the off season as well?
I absolutely do. I think you need to keep track of what you're doing. We all use statistics for different purposes,
right?
And that's a part of it. We all want to get better, and it's not just going to be, you look faster.
Right. Yeah, the timing, the test outs, I think, is probably the most imperative piece to the puzzle. Whether you're in season, out of season, youth athletics, you've got to be testing guys so that they know how to get better. And we put that program together, that performance series with Kbands. You start with the test outs, you go through 8 weeks, you test out again. I think that most all training with youth athletics has to be in some format of a cycle. Test them, train them, test them. Always, even when you're in season. Because that in-season stuff, oftentimes guys get so wrapped up in gameplay and play calling and all those things where you're kind of, let's look at the bigger picture here. We got to get these kids to the next level. We got to make them perform at their best. And not to mention, it's not all about football, right? It's all the different athletics you should be testing out. If you're in baseball, 60-yard dashes. If they're real young, shorten it up a little bit. We don't need 60s on 9-year-olds, right? They're going to be awfully slow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, you got to, gear it towards those athletes. But if you're doing basketball, there's different style test outs. All it is a quick YouTube search, NBA Kbands test outs. You're going to find several good ideas. And I think that can be a big help for coaches and dads out there trying to work with their kids.
And it gives them a chance to set goals and find out where they're at. They'll ask you, how'd I do?
Right.
And now you've got it. You started at 5'7".
Yeah.
Dude, you're down to 5'4". Let's go. Let's get it down to 5'2".
Absolutely. Hey, that wraps it up today for today's episode. But if you are working with a slow athlete or, you're just not the fastest guy on the team, just get out there and try to be a better athlete for yourself and progressively use test outs to see your progression because you never really know where you're going to end up. Maybe you hit a big growth spurt and you're a completely different athlete as you get older. Head to kbandstraining.com if you need some workout advice or any kind of equipment or training programs. I've got it there for you.